You know, there's been a ton of retro first-person shooters made nowadays. Usually, I avoid calling them boomer shooters since that makes me feel ancient at 29, but given it's now an official genre on Steam, I might as well go with the flow. There have been some really good ones made, like Proteus, Ion Fury, Amid Evil, Wrath, Eon of Ruin, Turbo Overkill, Warhammer 40k Boltgun, etc, etc. I'm pretty sure we can trace this back to 2013 of all years with the remake of Rise of the Triad, which is not particularly good. However, I'd also say what helped revive this once lost subgenre with a shot of adrenaline and rage was good old Doom Eternal. But the same year we saw the Doomslayer make his triumphant return, we also got another game to try its hand at reliving the glory days of the first-person shooters, and its name is Hellbound, a 90s FPS 30 years later according to the marketing. It was made by a group in Argentina going by the name of Cybot Studios. Going through their resume, it looks as though their most well-known series is a line of first-person horror games called Doorways, which seems to have mostly mixed reviews. They also made a fighting game known as The Black Heart, another FPS called Out of Bounds, and are currently helping publish a new horror game called To Neighbor Somnia, mixing old-school pixel art with live-action cutscenes, which seems pretty cool. But enough of that. Let's dig into Hellbound. The game starts up and we get some story. Humanity's been overrun by a demonic invasion, and we play as a resurrected warrior by the name of Helgor who gets transported to Hell and gets ready to kill all the demons. Simple enough, let's go.
Enough introduction, let's do this.
Well, to start with, it looks like hell. Lots of lava, the skybox is very nice looking, and our starting weapon looks pretty cool. It has this rather organic look that reminds me of Prey 06 in some respects. It's a semi-automatic rifle with aim-down sights that fills the typical role of the pistol, but it's also known as the simple shotgun. I do not pretend to understand the logic. It's also here we get the
triple shotgun.
It's a good shotgun, sounds punchy, feels powerful, and one-shots most enemies. But the game likes to be stingy with ammo, so I'm mostly just using the simple one, which is just an okay weapon. But clearly, Helgor is cooler than Doomguy, since he gets a triple-barreled shotgun instead of a double-barrel. So going by that logic, Proteus guy, or whatever their name is even cooler because he gets a quad-barreled shotgun. But I digress. This first level does a good job of showcasing exactly what the game is about, and we get some standard Doom-esque enemies here. We've got the Hell Knights, basically the troopers. They either shoot at you or run at you with the Head Crusher, this spiked club here. We get the Vladers, the imps that throw fireballs at you, and some nice fiery scenery. Something I should also point out is that while the Steam page tells us that if we're looking for a deep story, we've come to the wrong place.
Looking for a deep story? You came to the wrong place.
It does actually have a fair bit of lore and interesting details in it, just not in game. To learn any kind of backstory or even what to call the enemies, you have to get the art book that comes with the Mayhem pack, which also comes with the soundtrack. Apparently, Helgor was part of an advanced humanoid race known as the Originatives, and this world is not exactly the Christian Hell, it's just a planet called Hell. The demons, who I suppose are aliens technically, ended up teleporting through the core of Hell and overran the Originatives, leading to a hastily made resistance movement trying to stop them. Helgor's remains were discovered in some expedition by humanity, and they ended up resurrecting him back on Earth, striking a deal that if he cuts off the demon's teleportation, they'd resurrect the rest of his kin. I also found out they apparently had plans for a female counterpart named Heller. Not much to say about her backstory, it's exactly the same as Helgor's. They even had concept art and reference pics all ready to go, but it seems her and her missing sliced up nipple just didn't make the cut. It's here on level 2, the Unholy Lands, that we're introduced to the Hell Damage power-up. Do you know how these kinds of power-ups are supposed to make you feel invincible? An unbeatable killing machine with lethal efficiency to help feed into the power fantasy that is old school shooters? Well, in Hellbound, the damage isn't to your enemies, it's to your senses, because oh my Jesus, this is horrible. Every time you fire your weapon, it zooms in like the cameraman is having a seizure. It's legitimately disorienting and makes me feel like I'm going to vomit all over my keyboard.
In the name of the triple shotgun, amen.
Blessed be thy buckshots. Not much to say about level 2, aside from all the lava everywhere, and since you always run so fast, you're more than likely going to end up going for a hot bath. On to level 3, the Hero Cemetery.
I will repay your sacrifice with their blood.
Now that's what I call a blood debt. This level has a pretty cool wall displaying the names of people who backed it on Kickstarter. And oh hey, it's G-Man Lives. Maybe I should pay tribute. This level also introduces these things, the Carnals. They're kind of like the Clear from Serious Sam, or I guess more accurately, the Fiends from Quake. They'll leap at you rather annoyingly, and it doesn't help that their damage RNG is all over the place. Sometimes they'll do 10 damage, and sometimes they'll take half your health in one swing. It's a constant dice toss as to how much damage they'll do to you, and it's genuinely annoying that the game can't decide if they're lethal killing machines that you should be extremely cautious around, or if they're just cannon fodder that's annoying. I don't really care which, but make your damn mind up, game. And as I mentioned before, you run incredibly fast, and it doesn't help that there's lava all over the place, meaning you'll more than likely slide off into a conveniently placed lava pit. In fact, the more I play Hellbound, the less I'm reminded of Doom and more Serious Sam. Except this running speed would work a lot better in larger, more open environments, but 90% of the time there's a lot of environmental hazards and it's very close quarters, so you have to be very cautious, which I feel kind of clashes with the high speed Hellgore always runs at. You know how most retro shooters nowadays implement a dash feature, so if you do make a mistake in jumping, you can quickly correct yourself? Hellbound doesn't have that, nor does it allow for much control in the air, and when it comes to platforming, that can be a bit of a pain in the ass.
Dead demons make for great compost.
Somebody should pass that along to Doomslayer. He seems like the gardening type. Not too much to say about the dead forest, aside from some spooky atmosphere, all while looking for keys. And I got lost since there's no map feature at all. We also get our machine gun stand-in here, the Indolora. I'm not sure if that name is a specific reference to something. All I could find is that it's Spanish for painless. I don't know, dealing painless death doesn't seem too suitable for a badass demon slayer, but it is one of the more useful weapons, so I'll let it slide.
The dead have spoken, fuckers. Time for you to join them.
The next level is Flying Souls, added after launch. It also introduces these things called Pygons. They're kind of like cacodemons, except they can teleport a short distance. They also have a projectile that has a much larger range than the particle suggests, and that gets pretty annoying. Other than that, again, not much to say.
Fucking keys. Can I just blow the door up?
I wish that were the case. This level, City of Fury, is mostly just boring. It's basically just a big arena with a few enemies sprinkled in the corners with some keys to find. Not much to it. But remember what I said about this game feeling more like Serious Sam than it does Doom? Well...
time to get serious.
Oh yeah. We've got a huge battlefield with literal hordes to back away from and blast into oblivion. We also get our final weapon, the rocket launcher. It is meh. Very, very, very meh. The damage feels questionable and you don't get very much ammo for it. Because naturally, when you grant the player a new toy, you should always make sure they are restricted from actually using it as much as possible. I mean, that's just Game Dev 101. And before you ask, no, there's really no BFG equivalent, which is a bit of a missed opportunity. 5 standard boom shoot weapons, and that's all you get.
Hell Knights, Vladers, Cardinals, all I see is target practice.
Well, that was definitely exciting. On to the next level, Endless Hive.
I'll turn this breeding ground into my killing ground.
Well, you know, everybody needs a hobby. It's pretty much the works here. Lots of lava, running around throwing switches, grabbing keys. Oh, and it has some platforming. And fall damage. Because why not? Again, not really much to say. Am I repeating myself? Yeah, sorry, but that's how this game is. On to the final level, the core.
2 big motherfuckers go in, only one gets out.
Oh yeah, place your bets, folks. It's all been leading to this, the final boss. This big bastard by the name of Furlord.
You are one ugly motherfucker.
It's one of those boss fights where the challenge isn't really from the boss itself, but rather the enemies that just swarm you and are generally a pain in the ass. Furlord's got this energy attack you can easily avoid, and also a ground slam that can also be easily avoided if you keep your distance. He's pretty spongy, but ultimately not too difficult, like most of Hellbound actually. And after about 2 minutes of shooting, he's down for the count.
Die, you son of a bitch.
We get one final text monologue from Helgor. Furlord is dust, and so is his army. Destroying the pillars should be a piece of cake now. I can see the entrance to it. No signal in there, and a putrid smell coming out tells me there might be more motherfuckers to kill. I smile. And that ends Hellbound. It was flawed. It was very short. Hell, it took me a little under 2 hours to beat it. And overall, it was very, very average. But at the end of the day, I honestly didn't hate it. In fact, part of me kind of wants to see Helgor's journey to the pillars continue in an expansion, or maybe a sequel of some sort built with modern tech. Again, I know Cybot Studios are still active, so maybe when the dust settles and if there's enough demand, we'll see another Hellbound related project in the future. Heck, this game came out around the same time Doom Eternal did, and with the Dark Ages just around the corner, perhaps we'll see Helgor come back to tag along. Only time will tell, I guess.